In this episode, I'm going to be actually fixing a painting. So you can see right here is the example, but one of my super fans, aka Mom, tried to paint it too, and she got so frustrated she ended up painting an abstract painting. I told her, don't worry, that's art too, but I am gonna fix it, and tried my best to make it come out to something like this. The best part is we're using acrylic paints, and that is almost like an artist's do-over paint, so enjoy. Here we go. First thing I'm gonna do is just lock in my canvas like so. So this one's a little bit smaller than this one right here. You can see that's a big canvas, and this one's a little bit smaller. The colors that I'm using are going to be red, yellow, green, black, blue, and white. So I'm going to go ahead and start off, obviously, with this. We want to do some good coverage. We want to take care of a lot of this right here. I'm going to pick up my large brush. This is old rust bucket right here. It's still good to do some awesome painting with, so let's give it a whirl. I'm going to go ahead and put some plain blue on there just to give it a shot. And let's see what kind of coverage we can get going here. So obviously you can see this paint is a little bit thinner, and you can see that there is some residual of the stuff underneath right there. So we want to get rid of as much as we can with that. I'm going to go ahead and add some white then. Now, white is going to be a great primer to our painting, and as you can see, just mixing it up into our blue creates a nice bit of more coating. There we go. I'm going to come down a little bit more with some white. There's still a little bit of blue on my brush, but it does a fantastic job. That's why I love acrylics. If you do mess up, you can actually fix a lot of your stuff. Now we want to kind of use this paint as far as I can go without putting any more paint on my brush, so we can thin it out and let it dry faster. I'm going to bring it down to right about there, but with a lot more white on the bottom. Okay. All right, look at that. So you can see we've got some atmosphere. I'm going to bring this up close so you can see what I'm doing. And there you go. So you can see, take a look at that paint. It actually covered quite a bit, and we've gotten rid of a lot of that stuff right there. So I'm going to keep working on this, and we're going to work on our next level and add a new color. Now for our new color, I'm going to go ahead and make a very light yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of yellow on my brush and mix it into the side of my white pile. Now I did wash out that brush just to get it nice and clean, ready for this next step. So let's go ahead and start right below here, not touching the blue. We want to stay away a little bit from that blue as it dries. So there will be a little bit of a gap in between. Don't worry, we'll leave that for now. And I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. And what you do is you just get a feel on your brush. And notice how I'm doing this back and forth technique. I'm just going back and forth, side to side motion. And I can see that this is where she left off, trying to probably stop some of that yellow right here. So I'm going to go ahead and use her lines of where she made everything. Whew, we're doing good. Now what I want to do is also make it a little bit darker yellow on around the edges here. So I just put a little bit of regular yellow on my brush and just bring it in slightly. In the middle, I want to add a little bit more white. That's going to be our light source, so we're going to actually make that a little bit more brighter in the middle. And we're going to let that sit and dry. And yes, you guessed it, we're moving on to the next color. All right, so as you can see, we did some of that light blue, a gradual change to a darker blue up top. I've got my yellow in between here. There is a little bit of a gap because I wanted to keep that yellow away from that blue. But as you can see, there is still a mess down here with some abstract art. I want to go ahead and fix that. It's going to be totally different here. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and grab some green on my rinsed off brush. I'm still using this big guy here. Don't need to do any detail work, but what I want to do is blot and dab. I'm going to bring this up close so you can see. I'm going to blot and dab my brush here. Now you can see there are some dark colors within this grass that she swirled around a little bit. It's okay. We're just going to go ahead and just add some layering here. In fact, we need to go ahead and just make a nice coating on here. She did some good stuff and she just got like a little frustrated with it, which I understand. You know, that happens when you're painting. All right, I get it. All right, let's go ahead and add some yellow on my brush, and I'm gonna go ahead and just, again, blot or dab a little bit more color on there. Now we're kind of getting rid of that line by adding some bumps and things like that. The yellow is a great distraction color. You can see that it just really is taken away from all that darkness that was on there originally. Now the brush will lift some of that up, that paint up, so you gotta kind of watch it, but what we can do is give it the illusion of shadows. Maybe in the grass there were some like darker spots, and we can kind of go with her painting. All right, so I'm just gonna use that to our advantage. Look at that, and I'm blotting and dabbing. What that does, it creates the texture, so it takes your eyes a little bit away from all that original stuff on there. You still see it a little bit there, but now it looks a little bit more natural. Okay? Set your brush down, take a breather. It's all good, I totally understand. I'm gonna go ahead and rinse this brush off here, and we're gonna add some white up here so we can add the tops of our trees. So I know that blue is still drying up in that sky, but I'm gonna go ahead and keep working. I'm gonna put some plain white on my brush. And wherever I want a treetop, you can see that tree line right there. I'm just gonna go ahead and blot some white and just create some kind of awesome texture. Now it will turn a little bit of light blue on me just because I'm covering some of that light blue now. And that white wet paint does pick up some of it, but don't worry. We're just gonna go with the flow. We just wanna add just a nice little base to it. And this is where you can have imperfections. In fact, this tree, I'm gonna bring it all the way up to the top. How about that? And you can see it's lifting some of the blue up. It happens. No biggie. Again, I like kind of twirling the brush around and messing with it a little bit just to see what textures I can get. Now we'll go ahead and make another tree over here. Again, plain white, that's all I'm using. And I'm just going above that line that we originally made. Now I know the tops of my trees will have some different color. And it's awesome that we added that white because that's gonna make our colors pop quite a bit differently there. All right, so as you can see, we've got that pretty much covered. What I want you to do is to go ahead and try to get this as dry as possible. That could be like doing this, you know, back and forth, side to side, or putting it under a fan, whatever you think can get that paint as dry as you can go. Go ahead and work on that. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and let those top of those trees still dry. So that means I'm gonna be working on this middle part right here, adding some cool new colors. So let's get ready for that. Here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and make a light orange. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of red into the side of my yellow pile. And I don't want to get any green on there, okay? Make sure you got your clean brush and just make a nice orange or a light orange. And here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and just start blotting or dabbing within this area here. Bring a little bit up top here. But I want to separate some of that yellow, some of that original stuff with some blots, some dabs, and just break it up. I want to just add some cool color in here. It's a really pretty step. The pigment's coming out. I'm going to leave a little bit of that center area with a little bit less, but I want to just go a little bit heavy on these sides here. And it's a light orange. I'm going to bring this up close so you can see. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more red on my brush, making a more of a burnt orange or whatever you want to call it. And I'm separating the yellows and the oranges and just kind of just making some random blots, dabbing. You can see I do twist my brush quite a bit just to make that fun texture and make it not all the same. I want to make it a little bit unique. All right. Ooh, this is turning out pretty cool. Lots of cool texture. Now it's supposed to look very abstract. Right now at this point, that is what we are actually going for. I know people are like, wait a minute, what? No, it is actually supposed to be a little abstract, and as we head up, that white is still drying, so we're gonna get more of a pastel kind of fall trees going here, it looks like. Because I am doing this very, very fast. And that way you can rewind it anytime you like, but you can see I'm just still adding more and more texture. And by now, most of all of that random paint behind it or below or whatever is kind of disappearing. You're starting to see this painting take more of a shape, and it's really starting to come together. Okay, and I'm just covering up the original white. It is, like I said, a little bit pastel-y, more than I want it to be, only because I did not let it dry off as fast, but don't worry, it's going to turn out fantastic. I have faith in that. All right, so as you can see, as I come up here, covering the white, and it's okay if some of that actually gets a little bit away from you. It gives it the illusion that maybe there's some branches or something, some leaves or something just happening there that just is kind of just coming right out, shooting out of that tree. Again, the more times you can like kind of mess up, that is actually going to make your painting look a little bit better, because it gives it a little bit more of a realistic look. Okay, just about done with my nice little happy tree tops here. Bob Ross would be super proud of us doing this painting tonight. Making some land features. And again, like I said, I'm doing this very quickly just so you can see it in a short amount of time. I like to at least give you an idea of how to do it, but again, take your time on this. By all means, you do not have to go as fast as I'm going, so it's all good. All right, I'm gonna bring a little bit of that color down, break it up a little bit more, and that is about it for my trees right there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and rinse this brush off. Now comes a pretty cool fun part where we start to see this painting come together. So we're gonna be adding our tree trunks. Okay, here we come. The final steps are coming into place, and we're gonna be using a very dangerous color. It's plain black. Now this can actually overpower your painting very quickly, so I recommend using maybe a small brush. I'm going to be using this angled flat brush right here, and as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and put some of that plain black on my brush. Now I'm going to bring this up close so you can see it nice and good right there. What I'm going to do is go ahead and just make a nice little black line coming right from about that middle part right there, and make the tree trunk a little bit thicker at the base there. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of black, and what I do is I like to separate the branches a little bit, naturally happening by the paint itself. So it gives the illusion that these branches are actually weaving in and out of your tree. Now it's a little bit of wet paint, so forgive me if it's not looking as, you know, dark and deep as I usually get it, but we want to just give you the idea. Now you can see I'm making these branches start to head off of this tree. Okay, and it just randomly is just going in and out, weaving in and out. Take a look at that. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and add another tree right here. Let's practice it again. Add another guy right there. This one maybe just has a little bit more straighter branches coming off. And you can see, since it's shooting up in the air, maybe we got some going up there. Now, since that paint is wet, I got to add a little bit more on my brush because it's just not showing up. Okay, here we go. Check this one out. This is where you start getting creative and make your own happy little trees, you know? So look at this one's kind of a connected tree right there. And you can see that my tree trunks are actually coming into the grass a little bit. That gives that horizon line a little bit more depth. And now really essentially it's still kind of an abstract. I'm not taking so much time on it, but what this black helped do is just really give it that nice illusion that there actually is some kind of creation to this madness, really. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and add another tree. Tree trunk's a little bit thicker on that one, so we need to add some awesome branches maybe coming up here. And just separating. There you go. There we go. There we go. You guys got this. All right, and here we go. Last tree. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do. You're the artist. You can make as many trees as you like or as little of trees as you like. But I like making at least have that impact right there. Now what I'm going to do is actually create this cool shadow effect. So take a look at the original right there. We've got my guy that I'm making very fast right there. Now, this is your light source right here in the middle. So that means those shadows are actually coming out and shooting out from that light source. What do I mean? Let me show you. Right here, I'm going to go ahead and start with the same brush, but I'm just going to make a straight line, just go right there. Just a nice thin line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to map out these shadows. I'm going to map them out. So here's my light source. So these ones are actually coming right off that light source. Check that out. And then these ones are kind of spreading out a little bit. They're all kind of leading towards that light. And that, my friends, is how you want to at least kind of just have fun with it. Here's the double tree, so I gotta make a shadow that looks like that. Okay, once you got that, pretty cool stuff. Let's go ahead and connect it a little bit better. And as your shadows come around, it actually gets thicker as you go further away from it. So we're gonna go ahead and just make almost like a tree trunk go like that. All right, so it's thin right there. And then as it expands out in that awesome shadow, we're gonna go ahead and keep expanding out with these guys. And here we go, same for this one, nice and thin, and then it expands out. Same with that guy. And you just really follow your lines. That's the most important thing, is follow your lines. And it gets a little bit thicker as you get away, so you can see this tree is expanding out. Its shadow is just stretching across that land. Woo-wee. And there we go. Same with that one. Now, you see your light source, you got your trees, you got all that stuff. It's happening right there. Really pretty stuff. You know, eventually this will dry so you can add more red to brighten up some of those areas. Right now it's super wet, so I'm going to leave it alone. What you can do is you can see all these random shadows and craziness kind of going on down there. You can just use that to your advantage. I put a little bit of green on my brush right here, mixed it with my black, and then I'm going to dab or blot just down below here and give the illusion maybe like those leaves are now starting to cast a shadow. Just going to do it on the back ends here. But it just adds depth, and it again will take your eyes away from all the stuff that was underneath at first. Remember that crazy painting that was all messed up, you know, just beautiful abstractness? Yeah, well, it's so different now. Look at it. We've completely changed the surface of this painting. We completely went right over it. So don't throw away your old canvases, all right? Just keep working on it. You can always go back at it, especially with acrylic paint. It dries so fast, you can go back, you can fix it, you can cover it up, whatever you want to do. But like I said, I highly recommend you just have some fun with it. Let loose, enjoy the process, because that's when cool things start to happen, is you really can surprise yourself. So hope you enjoy. There is the one that we fixed. There's the example right there. Although they're not exactly alike, they sure do look similar. And that's all what art is all about. So enjoy, guys.